you go. That's probably better. Welcome, fantasizers. This is the Pinkbike Fantasy Downhill presented by Trek Recap Show. I'm your host, Cam McCall, and we got some breaking news for you. See? Breaking news. The Fort William World Cup was this past weekend. If that's breaking news for you, your fantasy downhill career probably isn't doing so well, but for the rest of you, let's start out with some stuff you already know. The women's results: 5th place, Tracy Hanna; 4th place, Maureen Cabarrou; 3rd, Rachel Allerton; 2nd, Miriam Nicole; Tawny Seagrave taking the win by over 8 seconds. Let's start out by talking about Rachel Allerton finishing in 3rd place with a whole lot of problems. Snapped her chain right in the first section, a couple strokes out of the gate, had a crash, but still somehow managed to salvage a 3rd place position, which is really impressive. But let's just talk about how much horsepower is needed to snap a chain out of the gate. We're seeing this so much. I mean, this is a chain. It's strong, but World Cup downhill racers are stronger. And this is a big problem. I feel like we're gonna have to implement something to combat this. It's happening too much. How about a new standard? Here's your new standard chains, guys. That's what we're gonna need to use because it's messing up our entertainment value during these races. We need to see all these riders down here with all their horsepower making it to the ground. So it's a shame to see that run from Rachel Allerton have so many hiccups. So condolences, Rachel, on all those hiccups in your run, but kudos on salvaging a 3rd place, proving that she's worth all the money that she costs to put her on her team, because even when she has an off day, she still brings in some valuable points for you. Now up next, we talked about Valentina Hall after the last race, saying you gotta keep your eye on her because she's in the junior category. She was really close. Her time was close to podiuming the elite class last race in Fort William. Not only did she smoke the junior women's category by over 30 seconds, her time would have been good enough for 4th place in the elite women category. So remember that name, Valentina Hall. As soon as she's in the elite category, if we're still doing this fantasy downhill thing, you gotta be spending your bucks on her because she's got a bright future. Keep her in mind. Now, Miriam Nicole in 2nd place, she had a tough go of it also. She had a crash in her run, so it's really impressive that she stuck in there for 2nd place, 8 seconds behind Tawny Seagrave, who, did I mention, threw a huge Cedric Gracia one-hander on that big old jump coming into that final section where all the people are screaming their heads off. So, big round of applause for Tawny Seagrave's one-hander. You don't see that very much these days in World Cup downhill anymore. Every once in a while, Mick Hanna will do a suicide no-hander. But in the girls' class, who else is doing one-handers over what's pretty much the finish line jump? That was sick. Way to go. All right, let's move things over to the men. The top 5 results. 5th place, Loic Bruni. In 4th place, it was Rhys Wilson. 3rd, Troy Brosnan. Loris Vergier in 2nd. And then Emery Pierron taking the win. It was his first World Cup win ever, and the first win for Commensal, his bike sponsor, in the last 6 years since they had the Allertons. So congratulations to all of them, and congratulations to you if you put him on your team. 10% of you did. That's not a lot, which tells me he was a bit of an underdog right there. If you were creating your team based on the results from Croatia, then you probably didn't do too well because a lot of the people who placed really high in Croatia had issues here in Fort William. For example, Aaron Gwin, he did his best scorpion impression, pretty much kicking himself in the back of the head with his heels in the rock garden. That resulted in no points for you and a down race for him, so he'll keep things focused on overall points. And he salvaged. He didn't finish too far down. Dakota Norton needs to adopt the new chain standard. Remember what we were talking about? Shiley, this is what I was talking about. These are the chains people should use on bikes now, right, Chloe?
Yeah.
Yeah, people should use those chains so that they don't break. Dakota Norton, get a big chain, buddy. Lucas Shaw, flat tire. Bummer for him. They'll be back next week in Leogang. A couple honorable mentions I want to throw out there. Finn Isles. Now, he had a bobble in his run, and that really hurt his time. But the whole rest of his run, he was ripping so hard. Was he ripping so hard, Chloe? Yeah, he was ripping so hard. Scrubbing all those jumps and just putting so much aggression into his run. No big result for him, but it's only a matter of time before the fuse burns all the way down to the gunpowder, and he's gonna blow up with a big result in the elite field. I just know it. Now, this guy, another honorable mention, really impressed me. It's Martin Mays. He got 10th place. This is a rider who had some success as a junior on the downhill bike, He was second at Junior Worlds in Val Nord in 2015. He won Fort William as a junior in 2015. But since then, he's been focusing on the Enduro World Series. He hasn't even thrown a leg over a downhill bike for the last year. He showed up at Fort William, got 10th place. So he's still gonna continue to focus on EWS the rest of the year, but depending on where he's at in the points, he may show up for La Bresse. So keep that in mind. He killed it here. If he shows up in France later on in the season, you might wanna have that in the back of your mind as an underdog to earn yourself some points. Now, the best bang for your buck, speaking of underdogs, here at Fort William was Rhys Wilson. He got a 4th place. He's the first, he's the first Scottish man to get a podium in any Elite World Cup event. So the Scottish fans were losing their mind for him, so excited, as if it takes much for them to lose their mind. The most enthusiastic crowd on the entire tour. So he was the best bang for your buck because he only cost you $100,000 and he brought in 150 points. More on him later. Now, enough about the racers and the results. The fantasy winner this round was a user from Helsinki, Finland by the name of Anar Hichas. Probably pronouncing that wrong, but one thing I know for sure is Anar Hichas is gonna be sent 10 of these tires. The Bontrager SE5 Team Issue tubeless ready tire. So 10 of these bad Sallies. If you wanna have a fresh new rear tire for your next 10 rides, you can do that. If you have 5 bikes, you can put fresh tires on them all right now. If you want to have a fresh set of tires for your next 5 rides, go ahead and do that. Congratulations to Anar Hichas. And our fantasy leaderboard at this point after round number 2 in Fort William looks a little bit like this. Show the people the leaderboard. Moon Boy still up there in 6th place. Tricycle Rider sitting there in 2nd place, so some consistency there. Anar Hichas, after winning this round, is sitting in 4th place. We have a new leader out of England. It's Ben Parfiterol. That sounds like some sort of dinner dish or something, like a casserole, some sort of shepherd's pie variation. Congratulations to all of those I just mentioned for doing well, but especially Anar Hichas out of Helsinki, Finland. Their team, for the rest of you, you might want to research. This is what brought so much success to Anar Hichas. Their team looked like this. Sam Blankenshop, Brooke McDonald, Emery Pierron, good call, Rhys Wilson, Miriam Nicole, and Monica Hrasnik. So that was the winning team for Anar Hichas. So we got Leogang next week. We don't have to wait about 2 months this time before our next round. That is exciting. So I got to give you my picks. I would say Rhys Wilson. He put a lot of time on people at the bottom of the course, all those bike parky jumps. And Leogang has a lot of sections like that. So considering how strong he was here in Fort William, and he only cost $100,000, I'd say put him on your team, see if he can bring in some more valuable points. For the women, Tracy Hanna, always a good bet, but she spent the winter down in New Zealand training at bike parks, testing new products and stuff like that. So she's gonna feel good at a place like Leogang. So those are my 2 picks. Rhys Wilson for the men, Tracy Hanna for the women. Leogang is next week. I mean, we're only a few days away right now. The deadline for submitting your choices for your team is June 9th at 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Until then, strategize, get out, ride your bike, and we'll see you after Leogang. Adios, amigos. Chloe, say adios, amigos.
Bye-bye, poops.
Bye-bye, poops. That works too.